BreyerFest is right around the corner, but I love speculating on variations so much that I had to make this last-minute compilation. As far as where I've been these last few months, I'll get to that in my next video. For this fest, I can't decide if we'll see variations galore like we did last year, or if it'll be toned down a bit in anticipation of next year being Breyer's 75th birthday and the potential new releases we'll get for that. We know this year is Breyer's 35th festiversary, and if they were sticking to their themed anniversary gifts, 35 would be coral or jade. It's possible to see something similar to the 20th anniversary fest in 2014, when 20 silver charm pieces were hidden in the runs, and I'll talk more about that in a minute. I could see some green being brought into variations this year from all the graphics and design elements, and maybe jade is the color. And we didn't get the beachy theme I was speculating on last year, but that's okay. This theme is amazing, and I'm still seeing pinks in the graphics, and can imagine coral showing up for us too. I also need to say that I don't work for Breyer, so all of these are simply guesses and things I think could be fun. And I've been having a great time speculating with these fellow hobbyists, so credit to them also for some of these ideas. You can find them on Facebook and Instagram. I wanted to also note this year Breyer has offered online attendees the chance to select from over half the SRs, and they get preferences, and they get the option to purchase 2 SRs with each traditional access ticket. This made me so happy I could have cried. It is such a step up from 2 years ago when online attendees only had access to a more expensive blind bag version of one of the leftover SRs, and even last year when we only had access to one with a preference. As an only ever attended online participant, I am so happy Breyer is making changes in favor of their online attendees who just can't get there in person. An interesting note, if you were to buy an online TA ticket after the preference deadline, you don't get wildcard tickets like in person. You are assigned 2 random SRs from what's available in these possibilities. Okay, on to variation speculation for this year's special runs. First, let's talk about the models we might not see variations on. And this was really hard because last year I thought we might see another mild year in variations because we'd be anticipating this year's anniversary fest. But last year we had a variation on every single one of the SRs except for one, Nemea. He was our beautiful decorator for 2023 and did not have a variation. However, if you happen to notice a particular lot in this year's program, lot number 2, a gold test Nemea, I can't help but wonder if he was supposed to have a gold variation and perhaps something in production prevented it. In 2022, the decorator was Franz, who did not have a variation, but 2022 was a mild variation year, and Franz was meant to resemble the Blue Horse painting specifically. In 2021, the decorator was Pollock, who did have a nice gold variation, and in 2020, Boudica did not. 2019 was an anniversary year, and the traditional 30th year gift is Pearl. So, in 2019, there were 30 pieces of a variation within the SRs. Not all of them said Pearl specifically like they did in 2014 with Silver. That includes Banner, the decorator for the year, who was green clearware instead of the offered red. So, on the topic of decorators, I'll start with this adorably bright Zastrid, our 2024 decorator named Better Than Revenge. As a decorator, and as an anniversary year, and as a confident guess, well, I can't tell you I see a pattern with the decos having a variant, other than for the last 2 anniversary fests. In 2009, the 20th anniversary was birthday party themed, but there was no 20-piece variant of any SR. In 2004, it was the 15th anniversary, but the theme centered around Spanish breeds, and there were no variations. 1999 was the 10th anniversary, it was themeless, and there were no variations. So, going forward from 2014 and 2019, we have seen small variations within the SRs, but it's a recent thing, the fest has grown tremendously, and I just can't say if we'll see 35-piece micro runs or not. For now, I'm putting Better Than Revenge on the maybe not list. Next is the pretty Sorry Not Sorry. He was revealed in gloss, so his finish won't change. He might be one they leave alone. After that is the Edge of Glory, who is also revealed in gloss, so again, no finish split. His paintwork is really neat too, in that he's got shading and splatters and dapples, so he might also be left alone. My next potential candidate for no variations is I Will Survive, resembling an extinct subspecies of quagga. She's darling and might also be left as is. Fighter and Survivor are the mare and full set this year, which typically don't see variations. Last year though, Breyer got clever and gave the mare full set a mold variation, so the foal was a completely different model. With no known main tail variations on these two yet, and no other foals that would work well, this set might not see a variation. Now for SRs I think might be fun to see in a variation, and what could be a possibility to see with those. I didn't really play with any markings this time, meaning eliminating whites to be solid instead, or models with new whites appearing as a variation. I am hoping we see some fun alterations though, and maybe some bold colors and holographic or metallic paint, seeing how wild and playful the branding has been this year. And quickly, and going back to all that chatter about Anniversary Fest variations, I'm going to note this bit of information regarding micro runs as variations this year, as quoted by Jamie from Breyer's event team on Mares in Black episode 113. I think anything that's related to the 35th, for the most part, we are working on something fun for the store, I will say that. That's sort of like a nice commemorative thing. And then the other thing that is related to the 35th, you won't find out until after the event. It'll make more sense afterwards. I don't think this eliminates the possibility of micro runs, but it sounded a little, to me, like that wouldn't be their fun surprise for this year. Unless, of course, Jamie is just really good at hiding things with her tone. For variations, I'll begin with Miss Independent. She was revealed in matte, so she might have a glossy variation. She's very pretty, but I can't help think she might be an underdog with the majority, and I'm feeling like that leaves a lot of room to play with this model. If she appears in a realistic variation, I think a Cremello could be stunning. If Breyer were to do a decorator variation, perhaps this is where coral could come in. A nice, sunset, peachy pink color with lots of shimmer could be really cute. Out of those possibilities, I think the Cremello would be my favorite. Next I have Edge of Glory, who I do think if there are models without variations, he might be one. I'm really just not sure what to anticipate for this year, so I did play with his color. I'm imagining a bright turquoise blue for this guy, again with some metallic and pretty color shift in his darker tones. For a realistic color, maybe a warm chestnut? And of these ideas, I kinda just like the original best. After that, I tried Sorry Not Sorry, who I did speculate earlier that Breyer might leave this guy as is. I thought, though, he might be neat in a bright magenta colored Appaloosa as a deco variation. I wasn't feeling strongly about any realistic colored options on this guy, other than black, but that felt a little plain, so for a second idea, I tried a holographic rainbow pearl throughout his white. You know that rainbow film where the color is only just there, where it's white unless you turn it just so in the light? That's what I'm imagining. Of these speculations, I like the black and rainbow best. As far as Better Than Revenge, while also holding a spot on my maybe no variations list because she's wild and amazing as is, you never know with Breyer, and maybe we'll see a color variation here too. I didn't try anything realistic because we've already got the quagga, but getting more dynamic with color felt practically impossible. I tried her in a sparkling gold with hot pink and violet stripes. I really think I like the original best though. We are about halfway done with the SRs now, and my favorites are yet to come. So are all of my guesses for this year's surprise horse. Next up is Can't Hold Us Down, the Indian pony with these brindle-like markings. I heard somewhere it's not really called brindle in horses. In horses it's something like lines of Blaschkow or Blaschkow lines, maybe? I could be wrong, but anyway, I was having a hard time finding what other realistic horse colors might show these markings. I decided to go with a Gruya. I love Gruya coloring, but this didn't feel snazzy enough. I wonder if we do see a variation on her, if it'll be something really bold, like maybe a bright hot magenta, Of course, she could also be our finished split and appear in gloss. And of these ideas, I'd love to see something bright and playful, like pink. Next is I Will Survive, the amazing little quagga. I can imagine her being left as is. Because she was revealed in matte, she might be a finished split with glossy, but I'm not very confident in that. She is representing the extinct subspecies, so wouldn't it be amazing if she came in a variation representing the revived subspecies? And it looks a little more like our current day quaggas, maybe with a few extra stripes. Of those possibilities, I do like the current quagga idea best. Then I tried This Is My Fight Song, who came out seemingly pretty strong as a crowd favorite. I do love that we get a special run of new PC molds the very next year. For this guy, because he was revealed in matte, he could also appear as a glossy. For realistic, I was leaning toward a buckskin on this guy. And as for a decorator, for some reason he was saying green to me, so I tried an emerald shade in sparkling metallic green. Of those possibilities, I'm honestly liking that buckskin. Next, we've got Fighter and Survivor, the Mare Foal, who I'm feeling more might be left alone, but technically, because they were revealed in matte, might come out in gloss. For a realistic color, and this was hard because they're beautiful the way they are, maybe a sort of reverse scenario where the mare is black and her baby bay? But maybe for a little pizzazz, Mom has subtle star dapples? And then I got to thinking that perhaps Breyer goes lighter and we see something like a Palomino mare and maybe a smoky black foal. And disclaimer, I'm not much good at horse genetics, so please forgive me if I do something wrong. Then for a decorator idea, I thought, what if we get something super colorful like a vivid sunset ombre in rust and magenta and violet with a metallic sheen? Maybe Breyer even gives Mom a splash of white on her belly. Of all of these ideas, I had a hard time picking a favorite. I think these molds are very pretty and look good in practically everything. And now the surprise. This year feels strange for the surprise. I'm torn between feeling like this year's might be a mold I don't care for as much, or maybe it's an unexpected wildcard move Breyer makes. I do think, like previous years, we'll see some matte versions being the majority of the run, some glossies and fewer pieces, and most likely a decorator. For color, I'd love to see some unique techniques and super playful coats. It'd be fun to see a neat Appaloosa, a Pinto, a solid, some dapples, maybe even a classic dark bay. Maybe in the solid we'll get a little shimmer, or maybe we'll see some roning, or a splash or more dun markings. I'm thinking with the decorator we might see colors pulled from the graphics, and maybe even something with the old splatter dapple technique. Could be nostalgic and fun. As far as molds, this year intrigues me and I am stumped. This is one of the few times Breyer has clued us in on what the surprise might be when we were told to expect a mare. This doesn't mean strictly a mare mold either, it could be a mold that's been used as a male and female. The only thing that's for certain is that the mold hasn't been used as a release in the same calendar year as the surprise. So, my last minute guesses on the surprise mold based on revealed auction lots and new releases this year, and in no particular order, are the Lipizzaner mare, Just a Dream with mane tail variations, Strapless, also with mane tail variations, and the Andalusian mare, even though she's in the auction this year. I want to add molds, but feel a little uncertain about, for one reason or another, Bobby Joe, who was Wimpy's little step this spring, but was male and limited to a special event. Goffert, who is 19 years old and on a stand, which we've only seen once in the surprise. Wyatt, as the mare version, of course, who doesn't appear in any recent runs or in the auction this year, so was a really strong contender. And maybe this mold is only down here because I don't quite love it, but also that stand. It's quite a big, clunky stand. My final want to but unsure adds from me are Yasmin, who really feels like she'd fit as a surprise, but was just Studebaker last year and came in a blue deco version. Weather Girl, but not confidently because she's a little small and because the surprise has never been a treasure hunt model. And Vermeer because this mold feels like the right size and shape, but we've yet to see a mare. And a handful of wildcard ideas because those are always fun. The Achy, who was just an SR last year, though he was a decorator, and we have not seen a mare on this mold before, but it would be a pretty slam dunk surprise because it seems no one is expecting him. Her. SEO, and again, we haven't seen a mare, but as a quarter horse would fit right in for breed use. Bristol, who was a mare in 2021, but the mold uses a stand. It is in the live auction this year, and it was an SR last year, so now I'm feeling even more uncertain, though the mold does have mane tail variations. And lastly, Pam, who is a whopping 66 years old but looking good for her age and would fly at us straight out of the unexpected left field. It'll never happen. Fun, but never happen. Now that we've gone through all the SRs, I'm curious. Who are you getting this year? Have you considered variations and what you hope to see? Also, what the heck could "it'll make more sense afterwards" mean? What on earth could make more sense once BreyerFest is over? Unless it has something to do with next year's 75th birthday? I wonder. Let me know if you've speculated at all. Thanks so much for watching. Happy BreyerFest!